this week's edition of Vikings Update. Mark Potts, Sports Information Director here, joined this week by Cory Anderson, Commissioner of the North Star Athletic Association. We will talk to him later in the show, but first, it was a busy week for Valley City State Athletics. We'll get to the highlights first.
Viking football opened North Star Athletic Association conference play on Saturday with a 35-13 victory at Waldorf College. It was a day of big plays for the Vikings. This 98-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by Demario Fair put the Vikings ahead 21-6 in the third quarter. Fair also had a 52-yard rushing touchdown in the first half. Defensive back Jesus Munoz then sealed the victory with this 96-yard interception return for a touchdown in the fourth quarter as the Vikings improved to 3-1 overall and 1-0 in conference play. Strong rushing day for the Vikings, who gained 239 yards on the ground, including 115 from Jacob Dulio. Linebackers Nick McBain and Ethan Presta each had 12 tackles in the game, and the pair combined for 3 sacks and 5 tackles for loss. Vikings had 5 sacks as a team. New top 25 coaches poll released on Monday, and the Vikings were up 1 spot again. They are now ranked number 15 in the country. Vikings will continue NSAA conference play with a big matchup Saturday at Dickinson State. Both the Vikings and Blue Hawks are 3-1 overall and 1-0 in the conference. Saturday's winner will take early control of the conference title chase. Demario Fair's big kickoff return helped him earn a pair of awards this week. He was named both the conference and the NAIA National Special Teams Player of the Week. Big honor for Fair, earning a National Player of the Week honor. Congrats, Demario. Viking volleyball hosted a pair of conference matches this past weekend at Gratian Gym. Both matches went 5 sets as the Vikings earned a weekend split. Friday night, Vikings held off Presentation College for a 5-set victory, rallying here from a 12-9 deficit in the 5th set, ending it on a big block at the net. Huge night for Kanani Awai. She had 24 kills and 16 digs in the match. Steph Miller with 43 assists and JC George recorded 23 digs in the victory. On Saturday, though, a rough finish to the weekend for the Vikings. They led Dakota State 2-0, but let the match slip away as they lost in 5 sets. Vikings are now 7-7 overall and 2-1 in conference play. They hit the road for a pair of matches this weekend, both conference matches, Friday night at Dickinson State and Saturday night at University of Jamestown. Viking golf was back on the course Sunday and Monday for the University of Jamestown Invite, played at the Jamestown Country Club. Nicole Heinitz was the top Viking woman as she shot a 91 on day 2 to take 17th place overall. Nicole Mosselman here was 1 shot behind in 18th. Viking women placed 5th as a team. On the men's side, an illness kept the Viking men from recording a team score, but it was a strong tournament for Tyler Bockel, who recorded a top 10 finish and fired a 1-over score of 73 in the final round. Bockel placed 9th overall as the top Viking man. Freshman Jared Lentz finished in 32nd place. Both the Viking golf teams are back on the road Thursday for the Minnesota Morris Cougar Invitational that will be played in Morris, Minnesota. Then early next week, it's the North Star Fall Qualifier Tournament, 2-day event at Oxbow Country Club in Oxbow, North Dakota. Combined with the Spring Qualifier Tournament, the two will determine who advances to the NAIA National Tournament later in the spring. Viking cross-country teams are back in action this weekend as they head to the large Roy Griak Invitational in Minneapolis, one of the biggest cross-country meets in the Midwest, and the Vikings will be there. Viking baseball began its fall schedule last week with 3 games. These games do count towards their overall record in the spring. VCSU opened under the lights Wednesday night at Charlie Brown Field against defending conference champion Mayville State. It was the Comets who picked up the victory, defeating VCSU 10-2. Jaden Miller and Grant Wessler each had RBI singles in the loss. On Saturday, Vikings hosted Presentation College, battled them to a doubleheader split. Jaden Miller with an RBI single up the middle here in Game 1, but it wasn't enough as VCSU lost the opener 8-5. Jared Micklejohn hit a 3-run home run in the loss. Vikings bounced back for a 7-1 victory in Game 2. Andrew Frank threw 7 shutout innings, allowing just 2 hits as he helped the Vikings to their first win of the season. Brock Powell had 2 hits and drove in 4 runs in the win. Fall baseball continues Wednesday night with a single game at University of Jamestown. Vikings will also be on the road Sunday for a doubleheader at Dickinson State.
Joined on Vikings Update this week by special guest Cory Anderson, Commissioner of the North Star Athletic Association, Valley City State's Athletic Conference. Cory, appreciate you taking the time, and we'll start with this. A big week for the North Star nationally. 2 NAI National Football Players of the Week. 2 out of 3 went to North Star teams.
Absolutely. That just kind of tells you, the quality of what's going on within the conference now, and obviously one of the important things is that we have raised our national profile within the conference, and those aren't the first 2 of the year. We had a few earlier in the year as well in volleyball, and so it's off to a good start.
Yeah, definitely. The addition of Viterbo, Bellevue, Waldorf has brought the North Star up to 9 teams. What have you seen so far? You talked about raising the profile of the conference. Are you seeing that with the 9-team conference?
Absolutely, you're starting to see that, we're starting to get a lot more respect across the board as far as, each of our sports and where we are in the polls, and that we have some teams ranked, we have teams receiving votes, and important to raise that profile so that, we're on the pollsters or the rankers' minds more often, and that the North Star is, hey, that's a legitimate conference now. They have some quality people, and we need to take all of their teams into consideration as we go forward.
Right. I know fall this time of year, the life of an SID is pretty busy. I imagine it's the same for a conference commissioner. What's your life like right now?
Well, we only added 3 teams, but the number of student athletes we added is pretty amazing. When we probably didn't any of us think about that, and we're at just under 2,500 now in the North Star Conference, and when you talk about the logistics of all those things, they just don't get on the field and go through all the things that they want to do without the people in the background, the SIDs, the faculty athletic reps, and the amount of pressure that puts on us at the conference level. And then now, hey, we've got this season kicked off, but we got to start our 16-17 planning as well.
Right.
And what's ahead for that, and trying to forecast some of those things. So we had a chance to probably catch our breath a little bit, but now it's been getting after and getting towards next year, and making sure those things are off on the right foot.
You talk about 16, 17 next year, the future of the North Star. Do you have a vision for the future of the North Star? What it might look like a couple years down the road in different areas?
Well, I tell you, we'd all like to be at 10 teams for sure in all of our sports, so we could get to 2 automatic qualifiers. And any of the coaches would tell you that that's the important thing that they would like to see from us. So that's the landscape that we're looking at. It's not as prospective as it was last year at this time, but it's something that we're certainly looking at, and that's part of the vision. And then just to make the conference solid from top to bottom, and obviously we're raising our profile on the top end, and now we got to make sure that the bottom end is bringing themselves up as well, so we can stay solid throughout. So when they look at top to bottom, hey, that's a really strong conference, and that's one of the things that we have to take into consideration. And I think having those top teams is naturally going to raise everybody else's level, and knowing that, hey, we need to get better if we're going to compete for conference championships.
And we'll end with this. You take care of so much on the administrative side, but you still get out to games. Is that at the heart of you still, the competition, being able to take that in?
Yeah, it's a great position to be in. I mean, I still feel the butterflies, but it's a different type. It's still exciting. It's fun to go there. And I don't miss the preparation that way, and the nerves that are related with that. But just this past Saturday was a great day. I got to take in 2 men's and women's soccer contest. I got to see 2 different halves of college football, and then I got to witness a doubleheader in baseball that night. So that was a great day as far as being a conference commissioner, and seeing a whole bunch of different student athletes and different programs, and just seeing kind of the fruits of the labor that you put in pay off, and all the things involved with that, and know that we have really good people that are doing the work in the North Star across the board from school to school. There's really a lot of satisfaction in that, and knowing that everybody is in good hands.
All right, Cory, appreciate the time, and North Star seems to be rising, and big thanks to you for helping us with that.
Thank you guys for all you do as well.